What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the all-new 2024 Chevy Blazer EV. Now, I took a look at the Blazer EV, kind of a first look overview over on my tech channel, Mets Tech, so you may have seen a video similar over there. I kind of did just a broad overview of the visual appearance of the vehicle and some of the features, but in this one, we're going to be deep diving the Blazer EV here. Now, this trim we're going to be looking at is the RS. There's a couple different trim levels. Chevy nixed the bottom trim level, so you can't get that anymore, the most budget option, unfortunately. But we do have a couple other trim levels here. The SS is the top trim level, the performance trim. That will be available in the spring of 2024. But here in 2023, we just have the 2LT and the RS trims here. So the one we're going to be looking at here is the RS trim, and it's got some really nice accents, some really nice features as well. And just overall, the design is absolutely killer. But this color that we're looking at here is the Radiant Red tint coat, and it looks really nice with the black interior with red trim. But let's stop wasting time and jump right into it. If we start up front, you've got your LED headlights right here, and you have these LED turn signals and this light beam that runs across the front of the grille and around the Chevy bow tie here. And as well, this Chevy bow tie is LED, and it has a really cool initial entry animation where the lights kind of come together and go around the bow tie. It looks really, really cool. And then you have your regular beams and high beams right here in this cluster. It's a really nicely designed cluster. You have kind of this little T shape here. We see this a lot on the other Blazers as well, but it carries over here into the EV. And you also have LED taillights in the back. As far as the front grille design goes, you have this similar front fascia that has this textured material on it. It's very similar to what we have on the Bolt, where it's not actual intake area. It's just like a plastic piece, but you do have your HD surround vision front facing camera here, RS badging, and then you have a body colored split, and then you have some actual pass through there to help cool things down if need be, and then a little bit more of a black body colored lip at the very bottom. But overall, the front grille is actually pretty minimal, although it does have this plastic textured piece, which again, I've talked about in other videos, is not my favorite feature. I think it makes it look a little cheap, but really all the EVs are kind of doing this. Now, under the hood, you don't have a frunk or anything like that. It's just one solid piece of plastic that covers the whole thing with little holes in it so you can access things like your windshield wiper fluid just to make it easy, but you can't really see anything. It's pretty blank, pretty boring up under there, and unfortunately, like I said, we don't have a frunk. But if we move on over to the sides here, you can see that the RS here sits on these 21-inch machined aluminum wheels with these black painted pockets in them. They're a really cool, modern looking wheel. They have kind of a textured element to them to make them look more kind of EV-esque with the black Chevy bow tie in the center. And then you have this cool design on the side where you get these little black accent pieces with your body colored piece, and you've got them mirrored on both sides, but on the right side of the vehicle that we are over here, you don't actually have one that opens, but on the left side, this is where you'd access your charging port. There's a little button here you would push, and this thing would kind of transform out and fold out and give you access to that charging port. But we'll take a look at that in just a sec. Now, if we move on back to the mirrors, you've got black mirror caps, which I think are a really nice contrast with the red. You kind of have all these little black accents here, and the mirror caps are no different. These are power folding mirrors. They are heated. They have blind spot monitoring, integrated turn signals, and you have a little camera up underneath, which is always great to have for your surround vision system. Keyless access here on the door panels, just by using the little keyless access button here. Black roof rails up top, and no sunroof option on this model. Black trim that runs across the bottom of the vehicle, up over the wheels as well. A little bit of cladding there, just black cladding, not anything super rugged or anything. So if we move on over here to the charging area, you'll see these two little lines right here. If you just press on those, the side panel is going to move away and give you access to your charging port area. It has a little LED light here so you can see what your charging status is. You can remove this piece so you get access to your DC fast charging port. And then this little button right here will actually fold the panel back in, so it'll close up that charging area. Now, the Blazer EV here is powered by an Ultium propulsion battery. It's an 85 kilowatt hour battery, and it has 150 kilowatt DC fast charging available at its max, but it does come with the dual level charging cable, which will give you standard AC charging at 11.5 kilowatts. Hit this button right here, close it right up. It's a super cool system how this works, but it does make me a little nervous that this could get hit or damaged in some way and be an expensive part to replace, but nonetheless, that's how you access the charging area. All right, so moving to the back of the Blazer EV, you'll notice that it has a different looking back end than your traditional Blazer. Now, this is a fully redesigned model. This isn't a ICE Blazer with propulsion motor slapped on it. Body's completely different. Mechanics are completely different. Obviously, the internals are different. You don't really have that one-to-one comparison since it's just a completely different design, but you have a pretty distinct back end. I really think this is gonna stand out. You have those LED tail lights, like I said, that kind of T or Y-shaped tail light design. You have a little bit of this cat's eye design, I think is what they call it. 2 bumps here on the spoiler, big brake light here. You have a pretty compact rear glass area. It is tinted, but it's very small with this tiny, tiny little wiper. That thing cracks me up. It made me laugh when I saw it the first time. You have this Chevy bow tie here in the back as well. Blazer EV badging. I really think it's cool how they integrate the little 3 blue lines, kind of Chevy's EV moniker. Then you have your all-wheel drive badging right here and RS badging as well. So you've got your dual camera setup here. One is for your rear view mirror camera, and then the other one is just your standard rear vision camera that also works with your surround vision system. We'll take a look at that inside. And then the bottom lip here is kind of funny. It just becomes this giant black lip, but you get a little bit of a cool intricate design at the bottom, a little bit more of that plastic texture here with some parking sensors and then more reflectors here. You do have a power liftgate that is an auto sensing liftgate. All right, so this should work, this auto sensing liftgate. So if you're out of range and then you walk into range about 3 feet and wait, it should open for you. There it goes. So that can be really helpful if you were carrying something like this large bin here and you don't have the hands to reach down and access the easy buttons to open the lift gate. It will just open for you. So you do have to enable that in the settings. If it's not doing that and you have this feature, just check the settings. When we have this open, you can see that we get access to plenty of cargo carrying capability, but you get plenty of room. You've got an LED light there. You've got room for a cargo shade, plenty of hooks for a cargo net. Under here, you get some access to some tools, a nice big storage bin down here so you can put your dual level charging cable down there for extra storage, and everything can be nice and out of the way. Nice carpeted floor mat here and plenty of space even with the second row seats up, but if you fold those down you get even more. So very, very nice carrying capability back here, and you should expect that. It's a pretty decent sized SUV. This isn't compact by any means. This is a good sized SUV. Button here to close her right up, and we can go ahead and hop inside. All right, so hopping on in the Blazer EV, what you'll notice is that it's already on. That's right, as soon as you sit down into the vehicle, it automatically turns right on for you and you can get going right away. Similar to what the Volkswagen ID.4 does. I'm sure plenty of other vehicles do this as well, but it's really kind of a neat feature, but it takes a little bit of getting used to. So just keep that in mind. But let's go ahead and work our way through this entire cabin and talk about all the features in this bad boy. You've got a leather material on the door panels here with some red accent stitching. Then you have kind of this carbon fiber-esque plastic material over on the sides. And then you have a little bit more textured plastic here, and it works its way down to this leather armrest. Now you have 2 types of accent stitching on the armrest here. You have a little bit of blue accent stitching, which kind of mirrors with that EV badge in the back, and then you have your red accent stitching that goes with the RS badging. Then you have a little bit of textured fabric right here, and then it's hard touch plastic after that. Over on the dash here, you have a soft touch rubber material up top, more red accent stitching, a little more leather material, and then you have kind of this Alcantara feeling material, more blue accent stitching, more red accent stitching, soft touch rubber material, and then black plastic all the way down. As far as the center console area goes, more of that fabric and leather with the red accent stitching, some piano black plastic all over the cup holders, and then on the armrest here, you have more of kind of a rubbery material with that 2-tone accent stitching as well. Now the steering wheel is a thick leather wrapped heated steering wheel with that red accent stitching. It is a flat bottom sport steering wheel with the RS badging as well, black Chevy bow tie. Really, really nice, well designed, and very sturdy. I'm not gonna call it thick, I'm not gonna be mean, it's sturdy, well built. And then on the vents here, you have this really cool kind of red accent inside of the vents, and they have a twist feature that will enable or disable them. So if you don't want that warm or cold air blowing on you, you can just twist them, and then you can pivot them around inside of their little socket to redirect that air where you want. And then on top of them, you can actually see these little red accents on the inside through the plastic. And I'll give you a close-up so you can see that. It looks really nice. It mirrors very well with everything you've got going on inside this cabin. Over on the door panel, panels, you do have your position memory for your seats, and you have your save button, an easy open button for your seats. Mirror controls here, electronic parking brake button right here on the side, lane assist button, your auto vehicle hold button, your brightness for your display is right here. Light and wiper controls are combined on a singular stalk here because over on the right stalk, you have your shift lever. This will actually help you shift into reverse, neutral, drive, or park. Reverse is pull forward and up. Neutral is pull towards you. Drive is pull towards you and down, and then park is a button. So you have a shift-by-wire lever here on the side of the steering wheel. You have your regen braking button. It's a little bit different than the Bolt, and I'll talk about that in the test drive portion. You can just click that to do your regen on demand. On the steering wheel, you've got your adaptive cruise control buttons on the left side, and then your heated steering wheel and your infotainment and driver information controls are on the right side. Heads-up display straight in front of me, but then past the steering wheel, you have this beautiful, crisp 11-inch driver information display. And this thing is very futuristic looking, very kind of like Iron Man, you know, HUD over his face type look to it. It's all Chevy's updated kind of graphics package that's basically like an Android system. It pulls a lot of Android elements and kind of runs at the bottom level on the Android platform. Like I said, I think Iron Man aesthetic is the best way that I can describe it. So some people are gonna love it, some people are gonna hate it. I'm pretty indifferent to it. I think it looks pretty good, pretty crisp. It's not my favorite system because it's built on Android and I don't like that they got rid of CarPlay, but I think for the most part, it looks pretty good. But this has all your information you could possibly want. You've got your different drive modes, you've got your adaptive cruise control settings on there. You can switch pages and see kind of different gauge layouts. You can put your Google navigation on the screen, full screen. Like I said, you can see your driver assistance features. You've got some really clean layouts, some more information loaded layouts, all kinds of nice customization there. It's a nice display. But if we move on over, you have a massive 17.7-inch driver infotainment system here. This thing is crazy big, and it's pretty like seamless too. It's really hard unless you're really looking to see the bezels on the sides here. It all kind of just flows together, and that's the most obvious when you look at this little control knob here. And I talked about this in my first look video, but this little control knob is actually integrated into the screen, and it lets you physically control things like the radio station dial, but it also does volume, and it's got screen behind it, so as you physically turn the knob, you also get digital animations behind the knob and inside the knob, which I think is just a really nice, cool way to integrate physical controls into a big digital display like this. You still have plenty of on-screen controls for things like climate control, controlling your heated or ventilated seats, and then you've got all your kind of standard features you'd expect like audio, navigation, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi hotspot, your camera system. You've got some Android integrations like the Google Assistant, Google Play Store, Google Podcasts, Google News, things like that. Now, one big omission that I think I mentioned earlier, but a lot of people are going to be mad about, is you don't have any kind of phone integrations here. So you don't have Android Auto and you don't have Apple CarPlay. I know that that's going to ruffle a lot of feathers because it's forcing you to use their in-vehicle system, which if you've watched any of my videos in the past, you know that in-vehicle systems are one of the banes of my existence because 9 times out of 10, they are terrible. You've got a few exceptions there, like Hyundai's system's pretty good, Tesla's is good, Rivian's is good. We're pushing it. Not a lot of like OG, you know, vehicle manufacturers have very good infotainment systems. Now this one is very fluid. I give them a ton of credit. It's got a very high refresh rate. It's very responsive. The animations are nice. Everything works really, really well. But not being able to choose what you want to use is going to be a huge sticking point and a frustration for a lot of people, and I completely understand that. So just make sure you're aware of that you don't have any phone projection options here on the infotainment display. You're forced to use what they give you. But let's look at a couple more of these. And I'm going to be making a secret features video on the Blazer EV, so you can see some of the lesser known little things that this vehicle can do. So definitely subscribe so you don't miss that. But if we go over here to the charging menu, we can see the ability to adjust what we want to charge to. So if we want to go all the way up to get that 279 miles of range, we can do that. We can leave it at 80% here. You can set when you want it to charge, when you want it to not charge. You can link it to your My Chevrolet account. If we go into the camera menu, we can see our normal view with our surround view system, and then we can switch through our different views as well. Then we can see an overhead view as well as that. Click on side, see our side panel views, all kinds of goodies there. Now, oddly enough, it does only like take up a tiny little bit of the screen, which I think is really funny. But again, you're dealing with a pretty large screen, so that probably, even the little bit that it is taking up is probably still about the size of just your normal everyday infotainment display. So you still get a lot of real estate there. You can go into drive modes, switch between normal, sport, snow, and ice, and then you can customize and do a my mode. Like I said, you do have on-screen climate. So if we go into the climate menu, you can switch between rear climate and regular climate, turn that on, use your on-screen controls if you want, but you can also use the physical knobs here at the bottom and these physical buttons for your fan controls. So people are gonna love that, the fact that you can use full on-screen controls. They don't force you to use those though, because they give you physical controls down below. Let's move on down. You get more of these really nicely designed vents here for your front seat passengers. Then you have this little pad area, just a textured pad for storage. You do have a Qi-enabled wireless charging pad right here behind your 2 cup holders. And then under this little compartment here, you have 2 USB charging ports and a nice deep pocket for storage. Under the center console here, another nice deep pocket with a little LED light, and you have another USB-C charging port and then a 12-volt outlet as well. Just a normal glove box over there. Now you have this nice black headliner up top, which I think looks really nice. OnStar controls, some LED dome lights. You have this auto-dimming rear view mirror that has your rear view mirror camera built into it, so you can flick this little switch and get access to that rear view mirror. Now, as far as seating surfaces go, these are kind of a two-way seat here. So you have what Chevy calls Evotex, which is basically like their synthetic leather, which is on the sides. And then right down the center, you have a perforated suede material. And it's kind of this multi-textured, multicolored thing. So you have the suede on the headrest with your RS badging. Down the center, like I said, with the perforations. And you have a little bit of a textured fabric in between that and the Evotex leather material with the red piping. Then you have the two-tone accent stitching with the blue and red contrast. Looks absolutely beautiful. Like I mentioned on my tech channel, I took a look at a black Blazer EV that had red Evotex seating inside, and that looked absolutely incredible. I would definitely get that option if I could afford it. Now the driver is an 8-way power adjustable seat. Passenger is a 6-way power adjustable seat. They're both heated and ventilated and both have power lumbar. The driver is position memory for the seat and the mirrors, and then you also have heated rear seats. And there's a ton of great safety features that these Blazers have. Standard automated emergency braking with pedestrian detection, standard lane departure warning and lane keep assist, and then you have available adaptive cruise control with hands-free driving mode, which is basically Super Cruise. This model does have the adaptive cruise control added on, but you do not have Super Cruise here. All right, so hopping inside the back seat here of the Blazer EV, tons and tons of room back here. Super spacious back seat. I'm a big fan. Plenty of leg room. I had this seat where I'd sit at 6'1". I've got 2.5, 3 inches of rear knee room. Got a little mat pocket back here. Plenty of headroom here. The roof kind of slopes up here in the center. Decent shoulder room. Again, a little close to the door here, but you know, you'd expect that. Center console here that folds down, gives you 2 cup holders. And there's a 60-40 split, so you can fold those down if you want to. Again, this is an EV, obviously, so you don't have a transmission hump here. So flat floor back here, easy comfort for the middle seat passengers. I think you can probably fit 3 adults back here. It's not gonna be super comfortable, but you can do it. 3 kids, piece of cake. Over on the door panels, you have very similar materials as you have up front, except for you have plastic here instead of the leather material. But you have that same textured black piece here with a little bit of that textured plastic. And then the armrests here have the same kind of leather and fabric material with the accent stitching. So that's really nice that it mirrors there. You've got handles, you got lights, you got the same vent system back here, but they're a little bit smaller. They're kind of cute. They're like mini M&Ms a little bit. And then you have 2 USB-C charging ports and then your heated seat buttons for your outboard seats. Sorry, middle seat, you don't get your butt heated. They are pretty comfortable seats as well, although they do not recline. That's really the only downside back here. All right, let's take the 2024 Blazer EV for a quick spin. So up and back for reverse. Get the rear view camera access there. Back and down for drive. Get a little front facing action. And here we go. So I've test driven this over on my tech channel, like I mentioned. And one of the things I mentioned in that video was the sounds. So you can probably hear them right now. It's kind of a whirring sound. And that's one of the things that I talked about in my secret features video, is how you can customize this sound a little bit. So definitely head on over there and check that out. It's one of the coolest things because all EVs have a low speed noise, but this almost has like an acceleration, but an electronic-y type acceleration sound. So it's not a big, you know, beefy engine noise. It's more of just a whirring noise. So let's go ahead and put it into sport mode, that best acceleration curve. Not sure why we're in kilometers in Celsius though. That's kind of weird. It said we were in US, but it was showing kilometers, so that's a weird one. We'll go ahead and take it back out on this main road here and give it another little boost, but I hope you could hear that sound when I accelerated there. It's kind of a low speed whir, and then I hope that really comes through on video as clearly as it does in person. It's a really cool sound, makes this thing feel fast. Not that it's not fast, it is. It's a very quick vehicle. It's not as fast as the SS that will be coming out in the near future. That will be out in spring of 2024. That has a 0 to 60 under 4 seconds with the wide open watts throttle option, but this is probably like closer to 5 seconds thereabouts in my kind of just raw testing of it. But it's quick, perfectly fine for highway passing, great for city cruising as well, no issues there. I did finally get one pedal mode on, which I've been severely lacking coming from my Bolt EV to this Blazer. Not having that one pedal driving mode, which is my preferred way to drive, was really throwing me off, but I figured out how to do it, and so now it's a lot more fun to drive for me. I think as far as handling, I think it handles really, really well. I have no complaints there. I think the responsiveness is great. Haven't noticed any real issues with that at all. I think just having this gigantic display, perfectly usable. Not my favorite system, but I think it looks great. I think the huge visibility out the front and the sides, even with that pocket window, is fine. My only real issue with the visibility is out the back window, but that's fixed using the rearview mirror camera. No issues there. It's a super responsive, sporty feeling system. Super quick, agile, all those kind of superlatives that I could lump onto this thing. It's a 2024 Blazer EV. It's quick, it's sporty, it looks great, but it is expensive. $60,000 for this RS here, and it's just really hard to justify that $60,000 price point when you can get something like a Model Y for 30s and 40s. It's just really tough, and you get a much better self-driving features, you get the cachet, the range, all those different types of bonuses that a Tesla is just going to provide. It's tough. It's not a Model Y. It's a Chevy Blazer, and you know, that's just kind of what you get. If you don't want a Tesla, which I know a lot of people just don't want Teslas. They don't prefer them. They don't want to support Tesla, or they just think it's kind of overplayed, whatever the case may be. I totally get that. No big deal. You can get this Blazer EV for $60,000. That's totally fine. You just have to be aware of some of those shortcomings that I just mentioned. I haven't been able to do any testing with the charging speeds. That's just not something I normally do in these videos, but the 11.5 kilowatt onboard charging is okay. It's not amazing, but being able to use that 150 kilowatt DC fast charging is great. That'll definitely come in handy for keeping this thing charged if you want to travel in it, which you should be able to with that right around 290 miles of range on this thing. But let's go ahead and test out the adaptive cruise with the kind of lane keeping features. So it doesn't have kind of any like semi-autonomous driving features like highway drive assist, travel assist. But it does have lane assist, so you can kind of see it keeping me in the lane there around this curve, and it's going to keep me this distance away from the vehicle in front of me. But see how it drifted me into that second lane there. So it's really not like a semi-autonomous system really at all. You still kind of have to force yourself back into the lane. But I hope you can hear those sounds and that they really stand out through the video here. And just the acceleration. It's nice. It feels good. A little bit more on the front end versus the back end, but it still goes. And man, these seats, they are really, really comfortable seats with this kind of sport design with the suede and the Evotex kind of synthetic leather feeling. I've been cranking these AC seats all day because it's 72 degrees mid-November here in Louisville. So it's a toasty one today out here filming, but I've thoroughly enjoyed my time with the Blazer EV, having it for the day, driving it around. It's a lot of fun to drive. It really is. So if you can afford $60,000 for the RS trim, not even the top performance trim, that's going to be even more expensive. If you can afford it, definitely check out the Blazer EV. But if you need something a little bit cheaper, that Equinox is coming out here soon. It's going to be in the 40 range. The Bolt will be coming back out as well at some point. Need something even cheaper, that may be your best bet. I love electric cars, and I love looking at these vehicles with you guys. So if you want to see more videos on electric vehicles, definitely check out my tech channel, Mets Tech. I really dive deep in them over there, and I'm a big fan. A lot of videos on EVs, a lot of podcasts on EVs. So if you're interested in any of that, definitely check out my channel. I have it linked in the description. But yeah, if you want a good-sized, tech-packed, good-looking, fast-charging electric SUV from Chevy, definitely check out the 2024 Blazer EV RS. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Drop a like in the video if you loved it. Tell me in the comments down below, what do you think about the 2024 Blazer EV RS? Are you gonna pick one up? Have you had your eye on one? I've definitely considered it as my next EV upgrade, but I just don't think I can afford it at that $60,000 mark. But it's a really cool vehicle. I really like the design of it. I think Chevy's done a great job with it so far, but let's have a conversation about it down in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be among the first to see every single new video the second I hit publish. We'll see you in the next one.